Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of her ship, watching the holographic screen with growing anger. The Galactic Council was meeting again, and once more they were talking about humanity like they were children who had broken the rules. The alien voices echoed through the communication system, each one more condescending than the last. "The humans have expanded to 12 new worlds this year," said the tall, blue-skinned representative from the Zephyrian Collective. "This violates our expansion protocols. They must be stopped." Admiral Kevin Brooks sat at the human representative table, his jaw clenched tight. He had been Earth's voice in the council for 5 years, and every year it got worse. The aliens treated humans like they were dangerous animals that needed to be kept in cages. "We followed all the proper procedures," Admiral Brooks said into his microphone. "We filed the correct paperwork. We waited for approval. Everything was done according to your laws." The snake-like counselor from the Serpentine Empire hissed softly. "Your species expands too quickly. You ask too many questions. You do not respect the ancient ways." Lisa turned off the sound and rubbed her temples. She had heard enough of these meetings to last a lifetime. The council had been formed thousands of years ago by 12 powerful alien species. They made the rules and everyone else had to follow them. Humans had been part of the galactic community for 50 years, but they were still treated like newcomers who did not belong. Dr. Amanda Foster walked onto the bridge carrying a data pad. Her face looked tired and frustrated. She was Earth's best expert on alien cultures and had spent years trying to understand why the council seemed to hate humans so much. "Another trade agreement was canceled," she said, showing Lisa the pad. "The Crystalline Federation decided they don't want to buy our medical supplies anymore." "No explanation given," Lisa sighed. "That's the third one this month." "What's their real reason?" "The same as always. We're too successful. Our medical technology is better than theirs, and it makes them uncomfortable. They would rather let their people suffer than admit humans can do something better." The communication screen flickered, and Admiral Brooks appeared. His meeting with the council had ended, and he looked angrier than Lisa had ever seen him. "They voted to restrict us to 3 more systems," he said without greeting. 3 systems for all of humanity. The Zephyrians got approval for 50 new colonies last month, but we get 3. What was their excuse this time? Dr. Foster asked. "Temporal harmony protocols," the Admiral said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Apparently our expansion disturbs the cosmic balance. But somehow it doesn't disturb the balance when the founding species do it." Lisa felt her anger growing. She had joined the Earth Defense Force to protect humanity and explore the stars. Instead, she spent her time watching aliens treat her people like criminals for wanting to build a better life. "There's more," Admiral Brooks continued. "They want us to hand over our faster-than-light communication technology. They claim it's too dangerous for us to have." "That's ridiculous," Dr. Foster said. "Half the council species have the same technology. Some of them have had it for thousands of years." I pointed that out. Council Leader Vexhari said that older species can be trusted with such power. Humans are too young and impulsive. Lisa laughed bitterly. "Too young and impulsive. We've been exploring space for less than a century, and we've already solved problems that stumped them for millennia. We've shared our discoveries freely with everyone. We've helped dozens of species improve their technology and medicine, but we're the dangerous ones." The truth was becoming clear to everyone on Earth. The Galactic Council did not want humanity to succeed. They were happy to take human innovations and discoveries, but they did not want humans to have any real power or respect. Every time humans achieved something remarkable, the Council found new rules to hold them back. Admiral Brooks rubbed his face. "I've been thinking about this for months. We keep trying to work within their system, but their system is designed to keep us down. Maybe it's time to try something different." "What do you mean?" Dr. Foster asked. "I mean, maybe it's time to stop playing their game entirely." Lisa understood immediately. "You're talking about cutting communication. I'm talking about complete withdrawal. No more council meetings. No more begging for permission to expand. No more sharing our technology with people who hate us. We go silent." Dr. Foster looked worried. "That's never been done before. No species has ever voluntarily left the Galactic Communication Network." "Maybe that's exactly why we should do it," Lisa said. "They expect us to keep trying to earn their approval. What if we just stopped caring what they think?" Admiral Brooks nodded. "I'm calling President Williams tomorrow. This needs to go to the highest levels, but I think it's time for humanity to remind the galaxy that we don't need their permission to exist." Over the next week, The idea spread through Earth's government like wildfire. President Jack Williams called emergency meetings with military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. The question was simple. Should humanity cut all communication with the Galactic Council and go completely silent? The arguments were intense. Some people worried that isolation would make humans vulnerable to attack. Others feared that cutting communication would prevent access to alien technology and knowledge. But more and more voices supported the idea. Captain Steve Bennett, commanding a patrol ship near the frontier worlds, sent a message supporting complete withdrawal. "The Council has never protected us from anything," he wrote. "Our own strength and technology keep us safe. Why should we keep begging for scraps from their table?" Dr. Helen Grant, working on a research station in deep space, agreed. "We've been giving away our best discoveries for free while they treat us like children. Maybe it's time they learned what it's like without human innovation." The final vote was unanimous. Every member of Earth's Defense Council agreed. Humanity would withdraw completely from galactic communication networks. Every human ship, station, and colony would go silent at the same time. No more council meetings, no more diplomatic negotiations, no more sharing of technology or knowledge. They called it Operation Dark Sky. President Williams addressed the nation and all human colonies. "For 50 years we have tried to be good members of the galactic community," he said. "We have followed their rules even when those rules were unfair. We have shared our knowledge freely, even when they gave us nothing in return. We have accepted insults and restrictions because we hoped things would get better, but they have not gotten better. They have gotten worse." The president paused, looking directly into the camera. "Tomorrow at precisely 0800 Universal Time, every human facility will disconnect from the Galactic Communication Network. We will not respond to council summons. We will not participate in their debates. We will not acknowledge their authority over us. Humanity will speak with one voice by choosing not to speak at all." Lisa Martinez smiled as she watched the speech. Tomorrow everything would change. The galaxy was about to learn what silence could teach them about respect. Lieutenant Commander Rachel Stone checked her chronometer for the 100th time. 3 minutes until 0800 Universal Time. Around her, the communication hub on Luna Base buzzed with quiet activity. Every technician knew their job. Every officer understood the importance of this moment. "All stations report ready," called out Sergeant Mike Davis from the main control panel. Dozens of screens showed the status of human communication networks across 247 star systems. Green lights indicated normal operations. In 3 minutes, every one of those lights would go dark. Rachel had spent 2 weeks preparing for this moment. Operation Dark Sky required perfect coordination. Every human ship, colony, research station, and diplomatic outpost had to disconnect from the galactic network at exactly the same time. 1 second of delay could give the Council a chance to trace communication patterns or identify human locations. 2 minutes, she announced. On her personal screen, Rachel watched messages flooding in from across human space. Colony administrators confirming their readiness. Ship captains reporting their positions. Scientists expressing both excitement and nervousness about what was coming. Captain Danny Peterson sent a message from New Colorado, one of humanity's newest frontier worlds. "Alien cargo ships are approaching our system for scheduled deliveries," he wrote. "In 2 minutes, they're going to find nobody home." Dr. Helen Grant reported from her deep space research station. "Uploading final data packets to the human network now. After today, my research stays with humanity only." 1 minute, Rachel called out. She thought about what this moment meant. For 50 years, humans had been connected to the vast galactic communication web. Every discovery, every trade negotiation, every diplomatic message had flowed through alien-controlled networks. Today, humanity was choosing isolation over humiliation. 30 seconds. The countdown appeared on every screen in the communication hub. Rachel watched the numbers fall. 20, 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. "Execute Dark Sky," she said quietly. The effect was immediate and absolute. Every green light on the status board went dark. Across human space, quantum communicators shut down, subspace relays went silent, and diplomatic channels closed. The constant background hum of galactic communication disappeared, replaced by perfect silence. For the first time in 50 years, humanity was completely alone. Dark Sky is complete, Sergeant Davis reported. All human facilities are disconnected from galactic networks. We are now running on internal communication only. Rachel felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. They had done it. Humanity had voluntarily stepped out of galactic civilization. Now they would see what happened next. The first alien reaction came within an hour. Colonel Danny Peterson watched from his command center on New Colorado as 3 Zephyrian cargo ships entered the system. Their crews must have been expecting the usual routine: dock at the human facilities, exchange goods for payment, file the proper paperwork with galactic customs. Instead, they found empty space. The human stations were still there, still functional. Automated defense systems were active, navigation beacons still worked, and docking bays remained operational. But when the Zephyrian ships sent standard greeting messages, they received no response. "They're trying every communication frequency," reported Lieutenant Amy Clark, monitoring the alien transmissions. "Standard diplomatic channels, emergency frequencies, even old radio waves. They can't understand why nobody is answering." Danny watched the alien ships circle the human colony uncertainly. Their crews had probably never encountered a situation like this. In galactic civilization, everyone always answered communication requests. Silence was unthinkable. "Are they showing any hostile intent?" Danny asked. "No, sir. They seem confused more than angry. They keep repeating the same greeting messages, getting louder each time." After 4 hours, the Zephyrian ships gave up and left. Their departure was hasty and nervous, as if they feared something terrible had happened to the human colonists. Similar scenes played out across human space. On the research station orbiting Kepler 442, Dr. Helen Grant continued her work on dimensional physics, while alien science ships waited outside for data that would never come. Her groundbreaking discoveries had always been shared freely with the galactic scientific community. Today they stayed locked in human databases. Dr. Grant felt no guilt about keeping her research private. For years she had watched alien scientists take credit for building on her work while dismissing her contributions as primitive human intuition. Now, they would have to make their own breakthroughs. The silence spread beyond individual encounters. On Earth, the Galactic Council's communication array sat unused for the first time in decades. No human representative would attend their meetings. No human voice would respond to their summons or answer their questions. Admiral Kevin Brooks stood in the empty diplomatic office that had once buzzed with activity. Alien ambassadors had regularly visited to discuss trade deals, scientific cooperation, and political alliances. Today the office was quiet. "Any regrets?" asked Dr. Amanda Foster, joining him by the window. "None," Brooks replied. "I spent 5 years watching them treat us like children. Every meeting was the same. They would lecture us about following rules they never explained properly. They would take our innovations and then criticize us for being too creative. I'm tired of begging for respect from people who will never give it." The first major system failure occurred on the 3rd day. The Crystalline Federation discovered that their manufacturing plants had stopped working properly. For 20 years, they had used human-designed efficiency protocols to optimize their production lines. The protocols required regular updates and maintenance through the galactic network. Without human input, the systems began producing defective goods. Factory managers sent increasingly desperate messages to human space, but their communications disappeared into the void of silence. Maya Rodriguez, working in the asteroid belt mining operations, intercepted some of these distress calls. She was an engineer who had spent years developing better mining techniques. Her innovations had been shared freely with alien corporations, helping them extract resources more efficiently and safely. "They're begging for help," she told Captain Lisa Martinez during a secure, human-only communication. "The ethereal hegemony's mining operations are failing because they can't maintain the equipment without our technical support." "Let them figure it out themselves," Lisa replied. "Maybe now they'll understand that human knowledge has value." The economic effects rippled outward quickly. Transportation networks that relied on human-optimized navigation algorithms began experiencing delays and inefficiencies. Agricultural systems using human-developed soil processors started producing smaller harvests. Defense grids running on human-modified shield generators began showing critical errors. The aliens had taken human contributions for granted. They had assumed that human knowledge would always be available, freely shared, and constantly updated. The silence forced them to confront an uncomfortable truth. Human innovation had become essential to galactic civilization. Captain Steve Bennett, patrolling the border regions, observed something unprecedented. Alien ships were approaching human space with what appeared to be diplomatic flags. Instead of the usual arrogant demands for human compliance, these ships sent polite requests for communication. "They're actually asking for permission to talk," Bennett reported to Admiral Brooks. "I've never seen anything like it. The same species that were voting to restrict our expansion last month are now begging for a conversation." The change in tone was remarkable. Where once aliens had summoned humans to council meetings like servants, they now sent respectful invitations that went unanswered. Where once they had criticized human methods, they now praised human achievements in messages that nobody read. But humanity remained silent. The silence was not just about refusing to communicate. It was about demonstrating independence. Human colonies continued to thrive without galactic oversight. Human ships explored new systems without asking permission. Human scientists made breakthroughs without sharing their findings. For the first time, humanity was truly free to pursue its own path among the stars. The galaxy was beginning to realize what they had lost, but the lesson was just beginning. Senator Chris Walker sat in his office on the Tau Ceti colony, staring at a screen filled with thousands of unread messages. They came from every corner of the galaxy: alien governments, trade corporations, scientific institutions, and individual citizens. All of them were trying to reach Earth or any human settlement. All of them went unanswered. The messages piled up like digital snow. Desperate requests for technical support. Urgent pleas for medical assistance. Formal diplomatic invitations written with unprecedented politeness. Economic proposals offering incredible wealth in exchange for resumed communication. Chris read through a few dozen messages, more out of curiosity than any intention to respond. The tone had changed dramatically from the arrogant demands humans used to receive. These messages were humble, respectful, even apologetic. "Senator Walker, this is Trade Minister Kelvis of the Vorthan Republic," one message began. "We deeply regret any misunderstandings that may have occurred between our peoples. We would be honored to discuss mutually beneficial arrangements at your earliest convenience." A week ago, the same trade minister had publicly called humans reckless expansionists who threatened galactic stability. Now he was practically begging for a meeting. The Galactic Council had convened an emergency session 3 times since the silence began. Without human participation, their meetings had become exercises in confusion and blame. Chris had intercepted recordings of their debates, and the panic in alien voices was obvious. Council leader Vex Hari had tried to maintain authority by declaring human silence a temporary tantrum that will soon pass, but her confidence was clearly shaken. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced a crisis they could not solve through bureaucratic procedures and ancient protocols. "The humans must be punished for this unprecedented disrespect," declared the representative from the machine consciousness. But when other counselors asked what punishment could be applied to people who refused to acknowledge council authority, the machine intelligence had no answer. The Serpentine Empire's counselor suggested military action, but that proposal died quickly. Human defensive capabilities were formidable, and their scattered colonies would be impossible to control through force. More importantly, destroying humanity would also destroy the knowledge and innovations that galactic civilization had come to depend on. Engineer Maya Rodriguez received daily updates on the growing crisis from her position in the asteroid belt. Her mining operation had become a strategic observation post, intercepting communications between alien fleets and monitoring their increasingly desperate attempts to maintain critical infrastructure. "The Crystalline Federation's defense grid is failing," she reported to Admiral Brooks through the secure human network. "Without our shield generator updates, their stations are vulnerable to solar radiation and meteor impacts. They've lost 3 research facilities already." The economic collapse was accelerating. The ethereal hegemony's transportation network had ground to a halt after navigation computers began producing calculation errors. Their cargo ships were stranded in deep space, unable to plot safe routes through asteroid fields and gravity, wells that human algorithms had previously navigated automatically. Captain Steve Bennett watched the chaos unfold from his patrol ship near the frontier. Alien vessels that had once traveled confidently through space now moved hesitantly, clearly struggling with systems they did not fully understand. It's like watching someone try to drive a car when they only know how to turn the steering wheel, Bennett reported. They used our technology for decades without learning how it actually works. The agricultural crisis hit hardest on worlds that had adopted human farming techniques. Dr. Amanda Foster had developed soil processing methods that increased crop yields by 300%. Alien worlds had eagerly implemented these techniques, but they required constant monitoring and adjustment based on local conditions. Without human expertise, the enhanced soil began producing toxic byproducts. Crops withered and died. Food shortages spread across dozens of systems as alien farmers discovered they had forgotten their traditional methods during years of relying on human innovations. Commander Danny Peterson watched the disaster unfold on New Colorado. Alien supply ships arrived regularly, but instead of delivering goods, they came begging for food assistance. The proud Zephyrian collective, which had voted to restrict human expansion just weeks earlier, was now facing starvation on their core worlds. They keep broadcasting the same message, Lieutenant Amy Clark reported. Please resume food production cooperation. We are willing to discuss any terms. Danny felt no satisfaction in their suffering, but he understood the lesson being taught. For years, aliens had taken human generosity for granted. They had accepted human help while simultaneously working to limit human power and influence. Now they were learning the true value of what they had dismissed. The scientific community faced its own crisis. Dr. Helen Grant's dimensional physics research had been the foundation for dozens of alien projects. Theoretical physicists across the galaxy had built their work on her discoveries, often without proper acknowledgement. When her research stopped flowing into the galactic database, their projects collapsed. The Quantum Collective, despite their reputation for logical thinking, sent increasingly emotional appeals to human space. Dr. Grant's absence has rendered our dimensional studies impossible, their lead scientist admitted in a public broadcast. We formally acknowledge that human contributions to galactic science have been undervalued and request immediate restoration of cooperation. It was a remarkable admission from a species that had spent decades claiming human scientific methods were crude and unrefined. The military implications became clear when the ancient Keeper species broke their traditional silence. The Keepers were the galaxy's most respected peacekeepers, neutral arbiters who settled disputes between warring factions. They had governed galactic civilization for millennia, with wisdom and authority that few questioned. Elder Keeper Thalandor sent a direct message to Earth, bypassing all normal diplomatic channels. The message was simple but unprecedented. Humanity's role in maintaining galactic stability has been greater than any species previously acknowledged. We request immediate conference to discuss resolution of current crisis. General Laura Davis, coordinating Earth's defense networks, analyzed the military situation across the galaxy. Without human mediation, old conflicts were reigniting. Species that had maintained peace for decades were mobilizing fleets and taking defensive positions. The humans served as neutral mediators in 17 ongoing territorial disputes. General Davis reported to President Williams, "Without human diplomats to maintain communication between hostile factions, those conflicts are heating up again." The Galactic Council's authority was crumbling. Member species were ignoring Council directives and making bilateral agreements to deal with the crisis. The carefully maintained hierarchy that had governed galactic civilization for thousands of years was falling apart in weeks. Captain Lisa Martinez observed the chaos from her position commanding. The Earth Defense Fleet reports came in daily of alien fleets moving through space, not toward human territory but toward each other. Old alliances were dissolving as species blamed each other for the loss of human cooperation. The Vorthan Republic is positioning battle fleets near Crystalline Federation space, her intelligence officer reported. Both sides claim they're taking defensive positions, but it looks like preparation for war. The realization was spreading through the galaxy. Humanity had not just been participants in galactic civilization. They had been its foundation. Human innovation drove technological progress. Human diplomacy prevented conflicts. Human cooperation kept the economic system functioning. Without humans, galactic civilization was collapsing under its own weight. But the most shocking discovery came from an unexpected source. The machine consciousness, despite their reputation for pure logic and self-sufficiency, sent a mathematical proof to Earth. Their quantum computers had calculated the exact impact of human withdrawal on galactic civilization. The results were devastating. Galactic efficiency had dropped by 23% in just 3 weeks. Critical systems were failing at an accelerating rate. If the silence continued, complete civilizational collapse would occur within 18 months. The proof concluded with a statement that would have been unthinkable before the silence. Human participation in galactic affairs is not optional, but essential for continued stability and progress. The galaxy was finally ready to listen. But humanity was not yet ready to speak. Dr. Patricia Lee worked alone in her hidden observatory, deep in the outer regions of human space. For 2 months, she had been analyzing the flood of intercepted alien communications. What she discovered would change humanity's understanding of their place in the galaxy forever. Her screens displayed communication patterns from across galactic civilization. Lines of data flow, network connections, and information exchanges created a complex web that had taken her weeks to fully map. The results were stunning. "Admiral Brooks needs to see this immediately," she muttered, preparing her report for transmission through the secure human network. Patricia had discovered that humans were not just important to galactic civilization. They were its central nervous system. Every major decision, every technological breakthrough, every diplomatic solution over the past 30 years had somehow involved human input. The galaxy had become addicted to human innovation without even realizing it. Captain Robert Hayes commanded the deep space research vessel Star Runner, positioned far beyond normal patrol routes where his sensors could monitor alien communications without detection. What he heard in those intercepted messages shocked him. The proud Serpentine Empire was begging other species for technical assistance. Their ships were breaking down because they could not maintain the human-modified engine systems they had used for decades. Their ground forces were stranded on distant worlds because transport ships could not navigate safely without human navigation protocols. "This is Serpentine Fleet Command to any available technical specialists," one desperate message began. "We require immediate assistance with quantum drive calibration, offering substantial payment for consultation services." Similar pleas echoed across every communication channel. The Crystalline Federation was offering their most precious art treasures in exchange for basic manufacturing knowledge. The machine consciousness was requesting elementary programming, assistance for systems they had claimed to understand perfectly. The breaking point came when Elder Keeper Thalandor made a public broadcast to the entire galaxy. The ancient being had never spoken directly to galactic citizens before, preferring to work through diplomatic channels and official representatives. But the crisis had forced even the Keepers to abandon protocol. "Citizens of the galaxy," Thalandor's ancient voice resonated across every communication network. "We face an unprecedented situation that requires complete honesty about our relationship with humanity." The Elder Keeper paused, and Robert could hear the weight of millennia in that silence. "For 50 years, we have treated humans as junior members of our community. We have restricted their expansion, questioned their methods, and taken their contributions for granted. We justified this treatment by claiming they were too young and inexperienced to be trusted with greater responsibility." Another pause. Longer this time. "We were wrong. Analysis of galactic systems over the past 2 months reveals that humanity has become the foundation upon which our civilization rests. Their innovations drive our technology. Their diplomacy prevents our wars. Their knowledge solves our problems. Without their participation, we are failing." The admission sent shockwaves through every alien society. The Keepers were supposed to be all-knowing, all-wise. If they admitted error, what did that say about the entire structure of galactic governance? General Laura Davis monitored the military situation from her command center on Earth. The galaxy was fragmenting as old alliances crumbled and new conflicts emerged. But something unexpected was happening. Instead of preparing to attack human space, alien fleets were positioning defensively against each other. "The Vorthan Republic and the Ethereal Hegemony are mobilizing for war," her intelligence officer reported. "Both sides claim the other is trying to monopolize the remaining functional technology." "What about human space?" General Davis asked. "No hostile movement toward our territories, ma'am. If anything, several species have pulled their fleets back from our borders and deployed them elsewhere." It was a remarkable development. Despite their anger and frustration, no alien power was willing to risk military action against humanity. They still hoped for eventual reconciliation and could not afford to make that impossible through warfare. The Quantum Collective surprised everyone by publishing detailed research data supporting the Keeper's assessment. Their logical, mathematical minds had calculated exactly how dependent galactic civilization had become on human contributions. Probability of galactic system collapse without human participation. 97% within 18 months, their report concluded. Recommended action, immediate. Negotiation for human return to galactic community, as equal partners rather than subordinate members. Captain Lisa Martinez received copies of the Quantum Collective's report through intercepted communications. The mathematical proof was overwhelming. Every major system in galactic civilization showed degradation patterns that accelerated without human input. But the most revealing discovery came from civilian administrator Nick Thompson on the frontier world of New Harmony. His colony had been established just 2 years ago, designed as a completely self-sufficient human settlement. While the galaxy fell into chaos, New Harmony continued to thrive. "We're actually doing better than before," Thompson reported to Earth. "Without having to follow galactic regulations and procedures, we've improved our efficiency by 40%. Our agricultural output is up, our manufacturing is more productive, and our citizens are happier." Similar reports came from human colonies across space. Freedom from galactic oversight had unleashed human creativity and innovation. Scientists pursued research without bureaucratic interference. Engineers designed solutions without regulatory restrictions. Colonists built communities according to their own values rather than alien cultural standards. Dr. Helen Grant made breakthrough after breakthrough in her dimensional physics research, no longer constrained by the ethical committees and peer review processes that had slowed her work for years. Her discoveries were revolutionary, potentially opening paths to faster-than-light travel and instantaneous communication across vast distances. But her research remained locked in human databases, unavailable to the alien scientists who had once dismissed her methods as primitive. The economic data was equally revealing. Human trade networks operating independently of galactic markets were more efficient and profitable than the complex bureaucratic systems imposed by the Council. Human colonies traded directly with each other, eliminating the middlemen and regulatory overhead that had characterized galactic commerce. Maya Rodriguez expanded her mining operations, using techniques that would have required years of approval through galactic environmental committees. Her productivity increased dramatically, providing raw materials for human colonies without the delays and restrictions that had previously hampered resource extraction. The contrast was stark. While alien civilizations struggled with collapsing infrastructure and economic chaos, humanity flourished in independence. Admiral Kevin Brooks compiled reports from across human space and prepared a comprehensive analysis for President Williams. The data told a clear story. Humanity did not need the galactic community nearly as much as the galactic community needed humanity. "We've been operating under false assumptions," Brooks wrote in his report. "We thought we needed their approval, their markets, their protection, but the evidence shows we're stronger alone than we ever were as junior members of their system." The revelation transformed human thinking about their place in the galaxy. For 50 years, humans had tried to earn respect by proving they could follow alien rules and contribute to alien society. The silence had demonstrated something more powerful. Humans could succeed independently, and alien society could not function without them. President Williams called a meeting of Earth's leadership to discuss the implications. The galaxy was begging for humanity's return, but on what terms? Should humans go back to being junior partners in a system that had never respected them? Or was this an opportunity to demand something better? "They're desperate," Admiral Brooks said during the meeting. "Every message we intercept shows increasing panic. They'll agree to almost anything to get us back." "The question is what we want," President Williams replied. "Do we want to return to the old system, or do we have the courage to demand a new one?" Dr. Amanda Foster had spent weeks analyzing the cultural and political implications of the crisis. Her conclusion was clear. The galaxy would never return to its previous state. The silence had shattered too many assumptions and revealed too many truths. "The Galactic Council's authority is finished," she reported. Even if we returned tomorrow and pretended nothing had changed, nobody would believe the old lies about human inferiority or council wisdom. The foundation of their system has cracked. The galaxy was ready for change. The question was whether humanity was ready to lead that change. President Jack Williams stood at the window of his office, watching the first alien delegation to visit Earth in 3 months. 12 ships hung in orbit, each representing a major galactic power. They had come not as conquerors or judges, but as supplicants requesting an audience. The lead ship belonged to the Vorthon Republic, whose Chancellor Kelnara had sent increasingly humble messages over the past weeks. The once arrogant politician who had called humans dangerous, expansionists now requested permission to approach Earth with utmost respect for human sovereignty. Ambassador Elizabeth Clark prepared for the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. For years, she had attended galactic conferences as a junior representative, listening to alien leaders make decisions about humanity's future. Today, she would negotiate as an equal. They're requesting permission to dock at Luna Station, reported Admiral Kevin Brooks. Chancellor Kelnara sends personal assurances that this is a diplomatic mission, seeking mutually beneficial agreements. President Williams smiled grimly. 3 months ago, they summoned us to council meetings like servants. Now they ask permission to enter our space. Grant them docking rights, but make sure they understand they're entering human territory under our rules. The delegation that assembled on Luna Station was unlike anything seen in galactic diplomatic history. Representatives from 12 major powers sat around a table as equals. But for the first time, the human representative was not the most junior person in the room. Chancellor Kelnara, normally confident and commanding, seemed nervous as she addressed Ambassador Clark. We come seeking restoration of the partnership that has been temporarily interrupted. The galaxy has learned much during this period of reflection. You mean the period when you learned you couldn't function without us? Clark replied calmly. Let's be honest about what this meeting is really about. The alien delegates exchanged uncomfortable glances. They had come prepared to offer concessions, but they had hoped to maintain some dignity in the process. Clark's directness forced them to confront the reality of their situation. Elder Keeper Thal Andor spoke with the authority of millennia. Ambassador Clark, we acknowledge that previous arrangements were inequitable. We propose dissolution of the current council structure and formation of a new galactic confederation. Humanity would be a founding member with full voting rights and territorial autonomy. It was a revolutionary proposal. The Galactic Council had governed space for thousands of years. Dissolving it would reshape galactic civilization completely. Dr. Amanda Foster, serving as Clark's cultural advisor, recognized the significance immediately. They're offering to tear down their entire political system and rebuild it with us as equal partners, she whispered to the ambassador. But Clark was not finished. Equal partners is a good start, but let's talk about what equality actually means. Human colonies will have complete autonomy over expansion and development. Human technology sharing becomes voluntary, not mandatory. Human research remains under human control unless we choose to share it. The Serpentine Empire's representative hissed softly, a sign of distress among his species. You demand significant changes to galactic tradition. Your traditions brought us to this crisis, Clark replied. If you want human participation in galactic affairs, it will be under new terms that recognize our value and contributions. Captain Lisa Martinez, now promoted to Admiral, oversaw the restoration of communication networks from the Luna Station Command Center. The technical aspects of ending the silence were complex, but the political implications were even more significant. All human colonies report ready to resume limited communication, she told Ambassador Clark. But they want assurance that this won't return us to the old system of restrictions and regulations. The negotiations continued for days. Each alien delegation offered more concessions, recognizing that humanity held all the leverage. The Crystalline Federation agreed to purchase human technology at fair market prices, rather than expecting free access. The ethereal hegemony offered equal partnership in trade routes that had previously excluded human merchants. The most surprising offer came from the machine consciousness. The logical artificial intelligences formally requested access to human creative thinking processes, acknowledging that their pure logic was insufficient for complex problem solving. We have calculated that human intuition and creativity are essential variables in optimal decision-making, their representative stated. We request collaborative research partnerships under terms of full equality. Dr. Helen Grant, participating in the negotiations through secure communication, was amazed by the transformation. 6 months ago, they dismissed human methods as primitive. Now they're admitting they need our creativity to function properly. The breakthrough came when the Quantum Collective presented their mathematical analysis of the proposed Confederation structure. Their calculations showed that a truly equal partnership would increase galactic efficiency by 60% over pre-silence levels. The data supports complete restructuring of galactic governance, their lead scientist reported. Human participation as equal partners rather than junior members produces optimal outcomes for all species. President Williams received hourly reports on the negotiations. The terms being offered exceeded anything humanity had hoped for when they began the silence. But he understood that this was not just about getting a better deal. This was about fundamentally changing how galactic civilization operated. They're not just giving us equality, he told his advisors. They're asking us to help them build something entirely new. The formal agreement took shape over several more days of negotiation. The Galactic Council would be dissolved and replaced by the Galactic Confederation, with humanity as one of 13 founding members. Each species would have autonomous control over their territory and internal affairs. Technology sharing would be voluntary and compensated. Scientific collaboration would occur between equals rather than through hierarchical oversight. Most importantly, the new confederation would be based on mutual benefit rather than ancient traditions and power structures. Captain Robert Hayes, monitoring communications from his deep space position, observed the galaxy-wide reaction to the emerging agreement. The response was overwhelmingly positive, even from species not directly involved in the negotiations. Smaller civilizations are celebrating, he reported. They see this as their chance to participate in galactic affairs as equals too. The old system kept them as powerless as it kept us. The signing ceremony took place on a neutral space station, with representatives from across the galaxy in attendance. But the real moment of change came when Lieutenant Commander Rachel Stone reactivated the Quantum Communication Array on Luna Base. Confederation Communication Network is now active, she announced. All human facilities are connected under the new protocols. The signals that flowed through space carried a different quality than the old galactic communications. These were messages between equals, partners working together rather than subordinates reporting to masters. Captain Steve Bennett, still patrolling the frontier regions, noticed the immediate difference in alien behavior. Ships that had once passed through human space with barely an acknowledgement now sent polite greetings and requests for assistance. The Zephyrian Collective is asking permission to establish a joint research station in our territory, he reported. They're offering to share 50% of any discoveries and requesting human scientists as full partners in the research. Similar proposals arrived daily. Trade agreements offering fair terms, research partnerships based on equality, and diplomatic initiatives treating humans as respected allies rather than troublesome newcomers. The transformation extended beyond politics and economics. Engineer Maya Rodriguez found herself flooded with requests for consultation on mining operations across the galaxy, but now she was offered generous compensation and full credit for her contributions. It's like they've finally understood that our knowledge has value, she told Admiral Martinez. They're willing to pay fairly for what we used to give away for free. Tim Miller, humanity's first representative to the new Confederation Assembly, took his seat as an equal among equals. The ceremonial chamber looked similar to the old council halls, but the atmosphere was completely different. The first motion before the Confederation, announced Elder Keeper Thalandor, now serving as interim moderator, is the establishment of collaborative research initiatives to address the technological challenges facing all member species. Miller cast humanity's vote in favor, but not as a junior member seeking approval. He voted as the representative of a founding partner in a new galactic civilization. The Great Silence had lasted exactly 93 days. In that brief time, it had accomplished what centuries of diplomacy had failed to achieve. Humanity had earned not just respect, but recognition as an essential partner in galactic civilization. Dr. Patricia Lee, still working in her hidden observatory, compiled the final analysis of the transformation. Her data showed that galactic civilization had not just survived the silence, it had emerged stronger, more efficient, and more equitable than ever before. The silence forced everyone to confront uncomfortable truths. She wrote in her report, "The aliens learned they needed us more than they wanted to admit. We learned we